Morning, everybody. Hello.
Morning.
Welcome to Book Buffet. My name is Courtney. I'm one of the teen librarians at the Addison Public Library, and that's Rachel, also one of the teen librarians at the Addison Public Library. And this is Book Buffet. This is the Addison Public Library's Twitch. Surprisingly, if you're not, well, you're lost, but we like that you're here.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Join us.
Indeed. So we are a public library, and, you know, we do a Twitch stream to kind of further the reach of the library and just kind of show more people more things. So,
And
hi,
to talk
glad
about
to see you here.
our favorite books.
And that's what we're doing. We're doing that a lot.
Books that will become our favorite books.
Yeah, there's already one that I'm like, I'm reading that after this.
Yeah.
So, we, at the Addison Public Library, it is a big, we have a huge after-school crowd. There's a middle school across the street, and we get about like 80 to 100 middle schoolers about on like the busier days after school, hanging out, doing a bunch of stuff. Hello. So the program that we're using, when we opened it up today, they were like, there's an update which solves the crashing problem. We're like, great, let's do that. And then we had to have passwords that we don't have yet. So we'll get that fixed for next week.
Mm-hmm.
But we just crashed. Anyway, so back to it. Anyway, as we were saying, before we were quite rudely interrupted, I do think, we work with a lot of middle schoolers, and turns out that middle schoolers have really great books that are available to like their reading level and interest level, that I genuinely think that pretty much everybody should be able to enjoy. Mm-hmm. The good thing with middle grade books is they're like perfect for everybody all the time.
They are.
Like, oh, my kids are too young to read. Guess what you can do? Sit with your kid and read the book. Mm-hmm. But because like you're gonna enjoy the story. They usually have like some depth. They're a little bit sillier. They're also much easier to read, so it's not gonna be stressful on you. It's also like a tone that your kids are gonna like. The stories are generally shorter and a little bit more fast-paced, so that also works really well for the kiddos. And even if you are older, just reading it for yourself, there's nothing wrong with reading a shorter story that might have originally been published for a younger person, but you can enjoy that. Like, I distinctly remember I was in a teachers and librarians only bookstore type of a thing. Mm-hmm. And my mom wanted to come in and go through the books. It was like, here's a box, fill it up, $5 for the whole box. It was awesome. They wouldn't let my mom in because she wasn't a teacher or a librarian. So she stood outside the window and I was like, I have this middle grade book and this middle grade book, because she wanted to read like a bunch of middle grade books because she just enjoyed them.
Yeah,
so. They
are very enjoyable. And I think it is like, they're meant for, like, you know, 3rd to 6th, 7th grade, I would say.
It's a wider range than you would expect.
Yeah. Which is like the time in your life when you are starting to read independently. Mm-hmm. So I feel like a lot of adult readers have good memories of reading in those grades. Like, that's when you like fall in love with like reading to yourself, reading for yourself. Yeah,
and you can like find like what kind of stories that you like.
Yeah.
Hi, Itchy, glad to see you're here.
Yeah, that's, becoming an independent reader. So, like, going back to that time, like, I bet we can all think of, like, oh, I remember, like, this was the book that mm-hmm. was, like, I'm a reader now.
Yeah. Mine was Time Cats. Anyway.
Some of ours were Time Cats.
Some, like, that, my story with reading is wide and varied. Mm-hmm. But, like, I did not read growing up. Like, my mom absolutely read to me, and I loved books, but I didn't believe that I was a reader until, like, halfway through 7th grade, when I read this book that was given to me as, like, a 2nd grader. And then, like, I just fell in love with reading from that, because it was like, wait, I completed a book on my own, and I loved it, and it was great, and it was, like, a weird, like, time travel historical fiction, but with a talking cat, whatever.
So, like, Wishbone. But
it was Wishbone,
cats.
but cat. Yeah.
Okay.
That
sounds fun.
And a kid named Garth, or the cat was named Garth. That was...
Maybe we should find it.
It's Lloyd Alexander, Time Cat. There you go. I have, again, like I've said it before, my favorite books that mean most to me, I have multiple copies. I would
like to see this.
Me personally. The original copy is well falling apart. So anyway, we're talking middle grade level books, which are all genuinely quite darn good. And
I have a whole bunch.
You sure
I just want to establish, because I feel like if you're like, what is middle grade? So you can tell by a lot of these, they're not super long.
Yeah.
Most of them are going to be shorter.
This might be the longest one. And like, but it read fast.
Yes. The language is going to it's not like it's going to talk down to you, but the language is going to be simpler. It's going to be big, tough topics, but like not tough language.
Yeah, it's like presented in a way that is safe as well.
Yeah.
It gives you space to be able to like enjoy things while not like harming you, you know? Like so there is like a level of safety here. Like technically a lot of people would put like Harry Potter in like middle range. Books 1 through 3.
Yes, 1 through 3, I would say are middle grade. 4 is that crossover.
Yep.
5, 6, 7, that's young adults.
Yeah. I would agree.
Yeah. Hunger Games, that's young adult. They're killing children in book 1. That's young adults.
That's
but middle grade is going to be more like no swears or like limited swears. If there's romance, it's going to be like a crush, maybe a first kiss. Like that's as far as we're going.
Lots of blushing.
Yes.
So much blushing.
There won't be any graphic violence.
Yeah, no.
At least not on the page.
Yeah, there might be dangerous situations, but like
you're not going to hear any like gritty details.
Yeah, no, it's
of anything. Even on like a tough topic, whether that be like a death of a family member or a sickness, illness, anything like that. That can happen in these books for sure, but you're not going to get the very intense details.
Right. And the interesting thing too is that like middle grades is such a transitional time for kids. It's also oddly also for books. So you're going to find these books everywhere.
Yes.
Some libraries have like a specific middle grade collection pulled aside. We don't have that. Half of these books are from the children's department and the other half are from adult or in like our graphic novels and teen, not adult, but teen.
Yeah, but adult graphic, like we have a children's graphic novel and then graphic novel, which includes some middle grade, YA, and adult.
Right. So it's across the board. Like, and even then, like, there's some books that I know are shelved in adult that I know would be absolutely appropriate for a middle grade kiddo to read. So it's just a dependence on where it fits in the moment, you know? Like, so it's sort of like a general average who would probably read this book. That's where the book goes. And even then, sometimes we're like, we'll have a copy upstairs and a copy downstairs, you know, type of a thing if we have the space to do it. So you have pulled a lot of stuff.
I have.
This is a primarily Rachel run one.
I came in and I had a mission.
You had motivation, is what you had.
So I want to talk about...
I couldn't get out of bed this morning.
Well, yes. Be that as it may.
I tried and I got here, and that's success.
We're here. So yes, first I want to talk about A Monster Calls, because this is one that I think gets recommended to adults a lot.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and they did make it into a movie. It is...
Yeah, just the illustrations across the thing.
That's all. Where's the illustration?
There we go.
You can see the...
You can kind of get the tone just from that.
Yes. So this is a story about Connor. And Connor's mom is sick. And it does say treatments. I don't know if they ever say in the book, but I think you're supposed to understand like she has cancer.
I think that was the assumption too.
But
or at least that was my take. Or something akin to cancer.
Yeah. Something where, it's like an ongoing illness. She needs to go in for treatments. And then he wakes up one night and sees a monster outside. And
which isn't great.
Yes. He's like having these nightmares. He sees this monster. And they kind of align with his mother's treatments. And he is, at first afraid of the monster, but he's curious. And as we go in, we find more and more about the monster. And it's basically the monster's grief. The monster is how Connor is dealing with his mom being sick and not knowing what's going to happen to her. And ends up, we have to kind of befriend this monster. We have to live with this monster. So as we were talking about, there are these big topics in these books. This is not an easy read by any means, but the language is simple. The concepts, while being big, are broken down, and so they're a little bit easier to digest.
I think it's one of those heartbreaking stories, but also healing stories.
Yeah.
You kind of have to break some bones in order for them to set right. Yeah. Kind of a thing. But yeah.
So yeah, this is one that I would tread carefully. Yeah. If you're not ready for it, don't read it. There may be kids who are, dealing with whether it be an illness or just not knowing what's going on with mom and dad. This could be a good book for them. It could be one that they're not ready for.
Yeah, that's true too.
But I think it's important that we have books like this. For when kids, adults, whoever it is, you need that.
Yeah, I would agree. We've kind of talked a lot in the library world of windows and doors. The idea of a story in a book would probably be either you're looking through a window and seeing, or windows and mirrors really. You're looking through a window and seeing somebody else's world and somebody else's experience that you personally can't relate to, but you can kind of get a taste of because you're watching it. And then a mirror is one that kind of reflects back. This, I think, is one that kind of everybody can kind of tap into or has a shared experience with grief in a way. Perhaps not as strong, depending on your personal situations, but yeah, it's a tricky one for sure. But it's really good. And like we said, a movie was made out of it, and I think that one was also pretty good. The voices in that one was resonating for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, that I feel is a people's example of written for middle grades, but definitely read by all ages.
Day's good.
Next, we're gonna lighten it up. We're gonna talk about some graphic novels. And then
Hooray!
We can talk about your graphic novel.
Yes, I want to.
Because I think personally, what the authors and illustrators of middle grade graphic novels are doing is amazing. They're doing some great work. They're doing some great work.
They're so good.
We'll start with the very light ones. Making Friends at Cardboard Kingdom. Making Friends is just fun and silly. And I would definitely give this to any middle schooler, but as an adult, I just thought it was really funny. So if you're into funny stuff, I would recommend this. What is her name? Danny, right? Yeah. Danny's in middle school. Danny's struggling in middle school. She feels awkward. She feels out of place.
Yeah.
Her body's changing. And the friends who were her friends are not her friends anymore, but maybe they're still friends, but she doesn't quite know what's happening.
Right. It's just everything's changing.
It's, classic middle school.
Yeah.
But she is gifted a notebook, and it is a magical notebook, and whatever she draws in it, comes out of it. It happens in real life.
Yeah.
So she decides to literally make a friend, to draw herself a friend. So she draws Madison, and she makes sure she has all the characteristics she wants in a friend. She's funny, she's smart, she's popular, she has cute clothes. She's got the perfect friend for her. The only problem is she then has a life of her own, and Madison goes off and becomes friends with other people.
Yeah. So Danny is like, all of my friends are leaving me. I don't have any friends anymore. I guess I'll have to make my new friend. Makes them, and then that friend also goes and finds new friends.
Yeah.
And she's like, no.
The tagline here says, sometimes making a friend is a lot easier than keeping one.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's rough. I can feel the abandonment, like, anxiety from here. I guess I have to read that too, don't I?
Yeah. Well, at some point, she does draw herself, like, a boyfriend, I think.
Kind of. So it goes a little Magic Girl.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, there's definitely,
There's, like, a
she
Sailor
has
Moon
some,
stand-in.
she certainly has some, like, anime-inspired,
Yeah.
like, motions on some stuff.
Goes into her
So
princess
yeah,
form.
she goes into her princess form and whatnot, and I think I think he's more of like a little bit of a villain.
Maybe. But, you know, like the dark, brooding thing.
Yeah, you know. So there's a lot of fun little jokes throughout the whole thing. There's a lot of really great references.
But yeah, the
it
magical
looks so
notebook
fun.
quickly gets out of hand.
As it does, you know.
When she's like, oh, I'll just draw this to fix that. Oh, that caused a lot of drama. Let me draw something else to fix that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Anybody remember the show Chalk Zone? Like, because that's what it reminds me of. Chalk Zone was fun. Rudy had magic chalk, and everything he drew would come to real life.
Okay.
Cool. Yep.
Next we have the Cardboard Kingdom.
Woo.
Which I think is a lot of fun. It's about neighborhood kids who just make themselves a fantasy land out of cardboard.
You ever see the show Out of the Box when you were a kid?
But it's so cool. Like, this is their neighborhood. I don't know if we can see it with the glare, but it's basically like a map of the neighborhood.
A map.
But each kid's house is like a different thing. So
yeah,
they have,
Lair of the Sorceress, the Prince's Castle, Rogue's Den.
Yeah.
Big Banshee's Bog, you know, all that.
And then
good
you can
stuff.
see the characters, how like they draw themselves, and then the artwork for it.
Right.
So
But they've built out their costumes all out of cardboard.
Each kid plays a different character. So each like chapter is about like that character, and they have like little mini stories. But it all combines together into one graphic novel.
Yeah, it just looks like an absolutely fun romp.
Yeah, it's a little D&D. It's a little, just like fantasy play world. It's fun because I want to like show the difference between like what they're imagining and what you're actually seeing.
Oh, the mad scientist.
The mad scientist. So we got like this cool mad scientist here, and then it's like.
Wahahaha, just hanging out.
Yeah.
Like in his own little cardboard castle. One of them's a deadly robot, and he has a destroy all humans party.
Like, you can just see, like, from the adult perspective, just these kids with a bunch of cardboard. But from their perspective, you know, it's these fantasy lands and these, like, huge robots.
That looks so fun.
Yeah.
That just looks like a grand time. So, Cardboard Kingdom.
It's a fun one.
I will also take that and read that later.
Do you want to talk about this one?
I can relate to this one so hard. This is Frizzy. Marlene loves three things. Her cool Aunt Tia, Ruby, hanging out with her best friend Camilla, and her art. But turns out there's another thing she loves. She absolutely loves her curls. She loves her hair. But if you are a curly person, such as I am also a curly person, not this level of curly, but I have lots of curly hair, they just so much work. It is so much work keeping your hair healthy and clean and just like moisture. There's so much that goes into it. So Marlene loves her curls and she wants to keep her curls, but her mom is very set on straightening her hair because she feels like the curls are too unruly and she doesn't really know how to care for them. That's actually like a huge portion of this, is finding like how to care for curly hair. Like her mom calls for her to get straight hair simply because her mom doesn't know how to take care of it. And her mom has the same kind of hair as her, which means that her mom doesn't know how to take care of her own hair because when she was growing up, nobody taught her, and which means that she couldn't teach her own kiddo. So it's sort of like a combination of like coming to yourself and feeling confident and with what you have, while also learning lessons that, you know, you thought you were too old to learn. And sort of like standing up for, you know, what you think is genuinely right. Because, like, I've been there. I had 7th grade was the straight hair phase, and then I saw the photo of me in the orchestra photo, and never again. It was so bad. My hair has gone through really frizzy times, and my hair is the healthiest it's ever been, and it looks pretty good. Even though it's, like, in the, like, day 3, like, you know, in a bun thing phase. But I still think it looks really good. So, if this is another, like, windows and mirrors. If you have an experience like this with your curly hair, or you're just like, I really wish that my hair would look absolutely gorgeous, but it just frizzes up and whatever, like, this is a great book for you. If you don't have curly hair and you're like, I just don't see what the deal, you need to read this book. Get some perspective on some things. Like, it's wild how difficult it is, but how worth it is too. Like, it's so strange. It's really hard for me to describe it because, like, it's almost oddly freeing. But it also touches into different parts where the straight hair sort of, like, ideal. Like, here's this girl and she's got, like, all this straight hair, and everybody else has all this wonderful straight hair. Because for some reason, people are just absolutely obsessed with straight hair.
Wow.
Like, but also curls. Because I've had it so many times in my life where somebody's like, oh my God, I love your curls. I wish I had curls. Yeah. Have you ever thought about straightening it? Like, it's like a 1-2 punch every single time. Like, so it's an interesting little thing. So I can't wait to, like, fully dive into this book.
Yeah, and I can imagine, like, for you or for anyone who did have curly hair trauma growing up, that could
weird.
Be healing.
Like, it seems so silly to call it that,
but no,
it's
it is. It's like,
you know,
there's
little
very
things.
Personal, and
it really is. Yeah,
and it's something that it's hard to change. It's hard to change the hair you have.
Right.
It takes time, money, upkeep. So
yes,
if you can.
There's a lot to it.
In your own hair.
Yeah. So I like having, like, some reflection. Yeah. Being so very clearly shown. Yeah. And then also an opportunity for other people to kind of, like, get a dose of, you know, like, understanding, which is kind of what's great about books. You see reflections of yourself as well as, like, get a peek into somebody else's life. Yeah. So
sometimes you go on fantastic adventures.
These are some great adventures. These are great adventures. If you want, like, something that is, like, a magical adventure, has some decent, like moments of, like, danger. There's, like, stakes. There's something at stake here. These are your books.
Beautiful images.
Oh, they're really good.
I would say this one, which, like, this is the first one. There's I don't know, 11, 12.
5 million.
Who knows how many. So this, you know, they're a little shorter. This reads maybe more like a comic book with, like, different issues. And this one is a little bit more...
it's a little darker.
Yeah,
it's a darker fantasy. It's got a moodiness to it.
Yes, there's definitely a moodiness. So it's these 2 kids and their mom are moving into an old house. Their dad has passed away, and this is, like, an ancestral home, right? And, of course, there are secrets in the house. And there are fantastical creatures, and, you know, at some point the house just, like, kind of stands up on its legs and walks away. So they go on this adventure in their house. But they get, like, all kinds of cool, like, fun fantasy vehicles. But, yeah, this is, like, a fantasy epic. Of these 2 kids exploring a new world.
This is a very well-loved series.
Yes, it is. I just wanted to highlight it because if you have kids in your life, they probably know this or are reading this. Yeah. If not, and you're an adult reader, like, you should also be reading this.
Yeah, this is not one to let pass you by. Yeah. It's pretty good. It's good. It's good.
It's very good. Yeah. And Lightfall, I would say, is a little bit lighter. Not...
It's not, like, full whimsy.
But there are, I would say it's more moments of fun. And even in, like, the, like, you know, a battle scene, there are, like, little
It reminds me a little more of like Adventure Time.
Yes.
But not full bore like absurdity that Adventure Time pulls in.
But the adventure here is Bee and Cad. So Cad believes he is not the last of the Galdurian.
It's always a problem when they believe they're not the last.
And is like, I think that your godfather, godfather, your caretaker, the pig wizard, can help me find the rest of my people. And Bee's like, okay. So they go back home, and the pig wizard is missing from home and has left a cryptic message. So now these two are venturing up,
as they do,
to find her grandfather, who is a pig wizard, and ask him where the rest of his immediate family he knows has died, but he knows that there are more of him somewhere. And then of course there's a whole other thing happening.
Yeah, it goes from like we're going on a quest together to like
now we have
friends.
Now we have to save the world, and we have to save the lights.
Oh,
in
that's
the sky.
pretty too. Yeah.
So yeah, this one also I believe is a trilogy.
Yeah. So there's more than one of those.
Yeah.
Which is quite nice too.
Yes.
I'm just gonna be
the
consuming
art
all
is
the.
fun. The characters are.
There's
cute.
a map.
There's a map.
Love a map.
There's like a cheeky little villain who like at some points helps them out because it's like it's no fun when like we're not on even footing.
That's actually pretty great.
So yeah, there are I would say big stakes, but also it's a little bit like
there's a little bit of there's
goofiness.
Certainly some gags that go through it. Sort of like Avatar: The Last Airbender, high stakes. But then, Sokka and the boomerang. Yeah. And I'm bringing up the boomerang because I literally just saw a boomerang and then she catches it and she's just like,
yeah.
Well,
like
neat.
That one a lot. That's a good series.
So, yeah.
All right. Where should we go next? I've got horror. I've got some more fantasy. I've got a sci-fi. I've got a realistic.
Let's go darker.
Let's go darker.
Let's go a little bit darker. We went from light fall, so let's fall.
Yeah, I've got a couple horror titles here.
Spookities.
This one is truly so scary.
That sounds absurd, right? Like a middle grade book should not be that scary. For some reason, like we've all,
it's very scary.
Like there's the scary stories to tell in the dark and Goosebumps. Like those absolutely creeped us out, Even if you absolutely loved them, they were creepy. You can see Sarah like walking around back there. Hi, Sarah. Looks like they're setting up for a program later on. But yeah, like there's no reason for these things to be as creepy as they are. But there's like
this one's scary.
There's some really great suspense stories in these suckers. Oi.
In this one, Ollie, our main character, has found a book under mysterious circumstances. It's like in the water, like back by her house. So she grabs it, and it's a book called Small Spaces. It's creepy, it's mysterious, she's like totally sucked in. The next day she has a field trip to an old farm. And she gets there and she's like, this is weird, this seems similar to the book I'm reading. And then there's an old graveyard at the farm, and the names on the gravestones are like matching up to the names of the people in the book that she's reading.
Hate that.
Yes. She's like, okay, this is getting too much. But it's daylight, they're having a fun day on the farm, they're like feeding the animals, and
eeriness does not exist in the light. Like you can go a little bit like that's where it goes from like this is horrifying and I'm gonna die to like, well, that's odd.
She doesn't really think much of it. They get back on the bus, they're going back to school, sun is setting, you can see it's like this beautiful dusk time, and then the bus breaks down. And they're in the middle of the country, and they don't have cell service. So the teacher's like, you stay here with the bus driver, I will go back to the farm, call for help, call for another bus. So now all these kids are on this school bus.
Unsupervised.
They have the bus driver, but the bus driver is a little strange.
As they have to be.
The bus driver is like, kids, something is coming for us.
I would perish.
And they're like, cool, we're children.
Yeah.
Ollie is like, okay, I think I can survive this. I think I know what to do. I feel like this book is going to help me. And then Ollie has like a digital watch, like one you would get from like a cereal box, basically.
Okay, all right.
And it beeps. And she looks, and it says, run. So now she has the book, and she has her watch that says run, and she grabs her two best friends, and she's like, we are going. And they're like, bus driver, let us off. Like, we're going to run.
Which is, there's so many levels of wild there. First of all, a digital watch from a cereal box even working.
Well, that's the thing. It hadn't been working.
That's right.
It hadn't been working. But then it says run.
And then the bus driver was like, yeah, that sounds legit.
Well, the bus driver gives Ollie and the friends, says, avoid large places at night. Keep to small. And then opens the door, pushes them out, and is like, we are staying in this bus.
Thanks, bud.
Yeah. So now Ollie and her two friends have to, they have to survive.
Yeah, the review on the back is it a mystery, a fairy tale, a horror thriller? As the suspense gripped me, I just wanted to know one thing. What happens next? Terrifying and fun. And that is from R.L. Stein.
Yeah.
So, the author of Goosebumps.
You can't argue with R.L. Stein.
R.L. Stein knows what he's about.
Yeah.
It's wild. You don't expect these things to grip you in, and then they suddenly do, and you're just like,
yeah, that is like my go-to if a kid is gonna ask for a scary book. But again, because it's a middle grade, I know there's not gonna be bloody, gory violence. I know the language is gonna be fine. I know, there's gonna be nothing that I couldn't give to a 10-year-old.
Yeah, it's proper creepy.
It's very, very just creepy.
Yeah. And it might make you real nervous about cornfields and buses.
Yes, and scarecrows.
But past that, you're not going to walk away with too much damage.
Yeah. This one is City of Ghosts, which is a lot of fun because it's written by Victoria Schwab, also known as V.E. Schwab.
Hooray.
Who has written a lot of adult fiction and teen fiction.
Great fiction.
So yeah, this is their foray into middle grade. It is about Cass, who as a child almost drowned and can now talk to ghosts. Her parents have a little ghost hunting television show.
That's fun.
They do not believe in ghosts.
Most
They
of
are
them
just
don't.
doing it for the money.
Yeah.
But Cass is like, yeah, it's real. They are communing with ghosts, even though they're like, haha, honey, isn't this funny? Like, we're getting all this money for these people that believe in what we're doing. So their TV show has just gotten a new contract, and now they're going to travel around. So their first stop is Scotland. So yeah, she is now meeting with a Scottish ghost. And this is a series. So like this first one's in Scotland. I think the second one they go to the catacombs in Paris. And I'm not sure where the third one is.
I don't want to go to that one.
But it's basically her parents filming in each of these locations. But then meanwhile, Cass is having her own adventure with the actual real ghosts of these locations.
That's kind of fun.
Who either need their help to fully cross over or, have some sort of thing that she needs to solve.
Yeah.
She also does have, like, a ghost best friend.
Oh, there's some really great authors on these review lines.
Yeah.
Jennifer Nelson, who did The False Prince, and then Zoraida Cordova, who did the Brooklyn Brew House. Which, I've met her. She's lovely.
Oh, nice.
I have a signed copy of one of her first book. I met her at a conference. Labyrinth Lost was that book. It was really good. So, all right. So, spine-tingling, page-turning, perfect blend of humor, heart, and adventure. So that's fun. So this is probably more on, like, the creepy but less, like, hunty.
That one's less scary. And
you're not being hunted.
More like, if you like a ghost story.
Yeah, which I think that this would probably be, like, my level of things, because I don't like scary.
Yeah.
But I do like spoopy. So, like, this is probably, like, right on the line for me. So that should be fun.
And I think, too...
Add that to my list of books I want to read.
If you're, like, just entering the world of middle grade and you're not sure where to start with an author you like who has maybe written middle grade fiction. If you already know you like an author, if you like their work in adult or in young adult...
And that author's phenomenal.
Check out their work in middle grade.
Yeah, good call on that.
Because, like... the plots and the language, like they're gonna, like that's gonna carry with them.
Mm-hmm.
Just the content is gonna be suited for a younger audience.
Nice.
It's so fun.
Shall we shift to science fiction?
Yeah. Do you have a science fiction?
You know I do. I do.
Yours?
I have a book.
And then I'll do mine.
Oh, I see. So this is The True Meaning of Smek Day. It is obviously science fiction. So aliens invade the Earth, and basically kidnap all of the humans and whisk them away somewhere. And the story follows Gratuity Tip. So her nickname is Tip because her first name is Gratuity, and frankly, that's just a brilliant idea. Zero complaints.
I always want to know, like, how the author came up with, like, did that character come to this author?
Yeah.
And they were like, I have to write a story about a kid named Gratuity. The nickname is Tip. What's the story going to be?
Like, how good is that? You know, like, let's go.
Yeah.
This is by Adam Rex, who is... Dude's really fun. Like, he's very fun. So Tip, her mom is taken by the aliens, and she herself kind of escapes along with her cat, who's just this big unit of a cat. And all she has is, like, the keys to her mom's car. And she's like, I need to get my mom back. It's just me and my mom. Like, and it's Christmas Eve. Like, must find mom. It's Christmas. Must get there. So she starts going off and trying to track down where her mom is, but she runs into one of the aliens, who is yes, it is home, Itchy. Stop stealing my thunder. Yeah. This is Home. So if you've seen the movie Home, it's based on this book, The True Meaning of Smek Day. So she runs into one of the aliens who is absolutely like the social outcast of the aliens. Like, everything that happens that has gone wrong with this society is probably his fault, just by blissful ignorance and just like blundering oopsie-doozles. This book, they make friends sort of contentiously, and then they do come to understand each other a lot better. The alien kind of figures it out, and he's just like, wait, hold on. Are we the bad guys? Oh, no. There's a really cool bit where they are going to Florida because all the aliens decided, like, humans love Florida. Like, we're wonderful overlords. Like, we're the best. Everyone wants to go to Florida. We don't know why, but they want to go to Florida. So they take all the humans to Florida. So then Tip is traveling there. But when they get there, obviously all the humans are gone, because it turns out that the aliens took a love to oranges. And where do oranges grow? But Florida. Yeah. So they had to relocate all the humans again. But you know, they weren't eating the oranges. They were using the oranges as shoes. So, like, just silly weirdness with that. There's illustrations and comics throughout this whole thing as well.
Love it.
That just add into, like, as I don't
like,
see
middle
anymore.
grade is not afraid to do this.
Yeah, like,
just
have
actually, this part of the story would be told better through comics.
Yeah, or, like, little doodles and stuff. Like, there's Pig the cat. It's just grand. The movie itself is... I love the movie. Let's be totally honest. I love Home.
The artwork is actually, like...
The artwork's actually really good. So there's there's the car. It's run on slushies.
And that really
then
does
there's
look
Tip
like
and...
the imagery of Home. Like, they took it straight from the book.
So...
Is her name Tip in the movie? I haven't seen it.
Don't know. But what's funny is that they make, like, a J-Lo joke. And J-Lo plays her mom in the movie. So
I like that.
There's a lot of little referencey things. This is actually, I believe, a trilogy. I know there's a sequel for sure.
Okay.
But they're fun. They're just a grand time. I enjoy them a lot. I love the movie. I love Home a lot. It's one of, like, my comfort movies. I just put it on, and it's got some really good music. But, like, this book by itself, too, is really quite grand. You learn there's a lot more about the lore. The bad guy is different. Like, they because there is a bad guy. Like, if you've seen the movie, the aliens are being hounded in a way. So, like, that kind of thing is completely different. How these things work about, like, how it's resolved is totally different. And frankly, I enjoyed it either way. But yeah, they're
That's
really
the
fun.
best.
This does have, where the movie is more of a, like, growing into oneself, gaining confidence and independence, but also learning to trust others. That's what the movie's about. You have that here, additionally with some, like, tones of political, like, decisioning, you know, because the aliens are
in the book.
Yeah, the aliens are making decisions for people without, like, listening to them. So, like, yeah, I could see, like, people talking about it as, like, sort of like a political commentary, but it's really not overhanded. But it's good. It's fun, for sure. Sort of like lawmakers have a responsibility to listen to the people that they're lawmaking over. That's pretty much where it's at. Oh, yeah, actually, wait, the name of the alien is J-Lo in this. And it's a Jennifer Lopez joke.
Gotcha.
But she named him J-Lo. So the name is a little bit different there too, but it's really fun. I don't know. I've enjoyed them. The audiobooks are really good too. I listen to these as audiobooks and I enjoyed them.
That's another thing to note with middle grade is you can listen to it as an audiobook with your kids in the car.
For sure.
Because I cannot listen to most of my podcasts would just be boring to my kids.
Yeah.
Or, you know, they're podcasts for adults, so they're swearing in them. And then, again, listening to adult books.
Yeah.
Boring, swears.
Exactly.
Explicit content, depending on what you're reading.
It's like when my grandparents moved in, Mom and I stopped watching Game of Thrones.
Yes.
And it's like, well, haven't caught up.
But if you have a middle grade Game of Thrones, you can listen
it'll
to
be
that
fine. Yeah.
in the car with your kids.
It'll be good.
All right, my sci-fi is called The Super Secret Octagon Valley Society.
Ta-ta.
Look at this cool cover. I really like the cover.
It is actually a great cover.
So this is like a funny sci-fi. Like on the back it says, 8 children will enter. Only 1 will survive. Okay, maybe some will survive. Don't be so squeamish. Wait, are you asking me for spoilers? You'll never get spoilers out of me. I'm not a snitch. Read it yourself.
I love books like that.
Yeah.
Just full snark.
But it is true that 8 children are chosen to attend an exclusive weekend at the mysterious high-tech institute of the uber-famous ultra-bazillionaire genius recluse Anastander Octagon. I'm guessing the Octagon Valley Society.
Golly.
So they think it's going to be like a Willy Wonka type, like, oh, we all got chosen, like maybe one of us is gonna like get his fortune. But actually, what they are there for is to go through a series of escape rooms that they have each been handpicked for.
Ooh.
So there are 8 rooms, 8 kids, and in each room there's 1 kid that will know how to get them out of it.
Nice.
And they have to figure out which one of us knows how to get out of this room.
So every kid's got a moment.
Every
That's
kid gets a
cool.
moment. That's what's really cool about this is it is a large cast, a diverse cast, because you have kids of different different races, different like there's some kids who are, there's a video game obsessed kid, a mean girl, a surfer dude, violin prodigy. So like some kids are book smart, some kids are music smart, some kids are good at games or puzzles. So I think that's really cool for a middle grade reader to be like, which one am I? But then, yeah, you just get like a lot of fun different puzzles if you're into like mysteries, puzzle mysteries, riddles, ciphers, things like that. This one will be fun. Yeah, but also funny. One of the room is a river full of piranhas.
Yeah, stuff like that of like, who has a special skill to handle that nonsense?
Yeah, well, they find out very quickly that it not only will rely on their special skills, but they also need to like conquer some like super specific fears.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So it's like Saw.
Yes.
It's middle grade
is.
Saw.
It's middle grade Saw.
Without the
And
sauce.
that is probably one of the best selling points there.
That's really fun.
Yeah.
That sounds like a grand one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Melissa De La Cruz.
Yeah. So
Also a
she's
great author.
Written a ton.
Ton of good stuff. That one's cute.
But yeah, I think this is maybe her first middle grade.
Possibly. Yeah, she had the Descendant series, Blue Bloods, Masquerade, a whole bunch.
Mm-hmm.
Tons and tons. Mostly
prolific writer.
Yeah, mostly does like young adult.
Yeah.
So this one's probably the youngest SKU on it.
Yeah.
But knows what she's about, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. What else you got?
Well, I've got some fantasy ones.
Fun. Ooh, that one's pretty.
Which one?
I like the middle one.
This one's fun because we actually have it shelved in nonfiction.
Ooh!
Because it is specifically shelved with like our folk tales. It is folk tales retold. And it's like,
Love it.
so it tells you which one it is.
So pretty.
And yeah, there's illustrations throughout.
Yeah, because the idea of rewriting fairy tales and folk tales is not new.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Disney stories are kind of like the key example of like those are the ones that everybody seems to know, but like The Little Mermaid did not end that nicely.
Yeah.
You know, none of them really did. So having retellings in their own right is just as valid because it's more about like the morals and the lessons than like the content, I guess. But having that sort of like mode, that vehicle to tell a story makes it kind of accessible because you're like, you already know who those characters are.
Right.
You're
in this
walking
one,
into familiar ground.
A lot of times in a retelling, the main character might be renamed. So like a Cinderella retelling may have a character named Ella or Cindy, et cetera, et cetera. And this one, like the names do not change. You can see in the index all of the stories. So yeah, the Red Riding Hood story you're telling is called Red Riding Hood. She has taken the character and the story and just like added a few fun things. Given the characters more control over their own stories, I would say.
Which is real fun. The illustrations just flipping through, like the cover is just let me eat this up.
Yeah.
Like yummy.
But that's a fun one for if you do like fairy tale retellings. It's fun. You can go in and just read the ones you like, skip over the ones you are not as familiar with.
Sly, subversive, and full of teeth.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely a little bit of a darker twist on some things.
Very dark.
Not afraid to try out difficult stuff. Ooh, I just wanna.
Yeah, it's good.
And I'm gonna.
It's
so
really good.
That's how that works.
So that's that one.
One can has.
The House with Chicken Legs.
I'm sensing some Baba Yaga.
Is a Baba Yaga.
Yes.
Yes. I really like this one.
I do love a good Baba Yaga book.
So it is Baba Yaga and 12-year-old Marinka who lives with her grandma is a Yaga, someone who guides the dead into the afterlife. So yeah, they also live in a house with chicken legs. So the house will move around depending on who they need to go guide into the afterlife.
Oh, okay.
Basically, like, that's grandma's job. We go around. You have someone who is dying. I am here to guide them into the afterlife. We go to your house. We have this big meal. We remember your life. And at the end of it, it's like, all right, it's time for you to go now. So from grandma's perspective, like, she's providing a service. She is helping these family members, like, celebrate their loved one and making sure that the loved one has a nice journey into the afterlife. But for Marinka, she's like, I have no friends. I do not get to go to school.
That is true.
We are always moving.
Yeah.
I'm always with these people who are dying. What is going on? I live in this weird house.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair.
So they're in a location, and there's a boy on the other side of the fence, and she's like, you know what? I am making a friend today. And so she crosses over, and she makes a little friend. But then the house disappears.
Uh-oh.
And she can't get back.
Uh-oh.
So yeah, now her and her friend need to find her grandma. Yeah.
Right, which is tricky.
This one is it's fun. I think having the Baba Yaga is like adds some gravity to it. But then you get like the perspective of a 12-year-old who's like, this is not fun.
Yeah.
I don't like this at all.
Right.
Yeah. It's cute.
Well, and it also is obviously touching on like tones of like grief and dying and whatnot, but
yeah,
sort of on the other side of those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and eventually Marinka needs to realize the importance of what Grandma Yaga is doing.
Grandma Yaga.
Because she's just like, ugh, I don't get it. Like, why are we doing this? This is...
Yeah, what's the point?
Yeah, what's the point? And then she realizes, like, how helpful it is for the family.
Yeah, for true.
Yeah.
Cool.
That one. Then I have The Girl Who Drank the Moon.
Oh, yeah.
And this one was very popular when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
I believe won
it definitely won some awards, or it was like on so many award lists.
Yeah. Like
either nominated or what have you. It was all over the place.
It came out in 2016, so it is almost 10 years old.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, it's about this girl. She's raised by a witch, a swamp monster, and a perfectly tiny dragon.
Yeah.
And they have to unlock the magic inside of her.
So there's a village that kind of has a belief that certain children must be sacrificed, and to appease the magical creatures so that they don't come and kill everybody. But in reality, like these people are just like, who keeps leaving babies?
Yes.
So we take the babies and then we go and find them good, healthy homes with parents who love them and won't sacrifice them for a fictionalized superstition.
Yes.
Like, stop leaving your babies in the woods. But for various reasons,
one of the babies...
This one is kept.
Yes, she decides to raise the girl for her own.
Yeah.
Because she accidentally... Well, it says in the summary, so it's not a spoiler. Mm-hmm. She feeds her moonlight instead of starlight.
Oopsie doodles.
I don't know what that does, but apparently she's like, oh, I can't give you to a family anymore.
Yeah. Basically, the witch went, oh no. So, yes. The witch would feed all the babies starlight, which would, sustain them for the journey. But accidentally she gave her moonlight, which sort of, is magic.
Gives her powers.
Yeah. So she, accidentally turns this little girl into a witch-ish. They don't actually know. Yeah. So a lot of it is...
we're not quite sure what's going to happen when you turn 13, because that's magical age.
Yeah, you might explode.
Yeah. But meanwhile, a person from the village is like, why do we keep sacrificing our children to the woods? I'm going to go kill the witch. Yeah. So that's where we're at in this story, is we have Luna, the girl who drank the moonlight, is growing up. A kid from the village is coming to kill her mother. Yeah. That's, I would say, the conflict, the main conflict in this one.
And let us reiterate, tiny dragon.
Yes.
That tiny dragon's really cute.
Perfectly tiny dragon.
Yeah, it is like a full-size dragon. Just tiny. Really small. Yeah. It's really cute.
Yeah. So this is a good... just straight up fantasy.
Yeah, it's a grand one. This I think is good for really any fantasy lover. Yeah. But a good one also for kiddos who are just looking to kind of dive into really meaty fantasy.
Yeah. This one is probably a little bit longer than others we've talked about. Yeah. So the kid who's reading this is then going on to read, Six of Crows. Yeah. And
eventually all the others.
Yeah. So. All the big, chunky, thick fantasy books.
I would say, Harry Potter is sort of a good entry-level fantasy. This would be a little bit more, pure fantasy.
Yeah, yeah. Harry Potter starts in the real world. Yeah. In this one, you are
this links
in a fantasy
into a
world
lot of different stuff.
Immediately.
He's good. He's fun.
It's good. It's fun.
Well, we covered a lot.
We did.
I think we're good. You want to do that one last?
I'll do this one last. We'll end with a realistic one. Another one where it's Jason Reynolds. Yeah. So you're just like, okay, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be great.
Jason Reynolds has tons of books.
Tons of books. Mostly writes for middle school, high school.
Yeah.
But I would say beloved by adult readers.
Very. Yeah.
This one's cool because it is a tale told in 10 blocks. It is one walk home from school from 10 perspectives. So, in each one you get, like, this is Marston Street. And it just goes, like, on the different blocks and their walk home from the perspective of 10 different kids or groups of kids.
Yeah. So it's sort of like a collection of short stories.
Yeah.
However, as you were saying before, that, like, as you go on, you realize that somehow they're all connected in some way. So, like, maybe, oh, this is that kid's friend. Or this is the kid that they're crushing, that the kid before was crushing on.
Yeah.
Or maybe, like, oh, they cross paths somewhere, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah. And I feel like as you're reading, you're like, okay, this is cute. I like how it like, goes back. And then at the very end, you're like, oh, I've just read something.
I've just read something.
It like, just, like, the way it all ties together is, like, a masterclass in storytelling, I think.
Yeah, it's not just like I just read a book. Like, something happens. Something happens, which is quite fun, so we don't want to spoil it for you, really.
This is just trust us.
Yeah,
just trust us.
It's worth the time. It's a good story.
Yeah.
So enjoy good novels. So yeah, we went through a good number of them, and my TBR list has just increased by quite a number of those too. So yeah, enjoy your middle reads.
Read some middle grade fiction.
Yeah, think about other good ones. Let us know what they are. Yeah, we'll get this obviously up onto our YouTube, so comment on there. It increases our engagement stats and looks good. So yeah, enjoy those things. We will have linked our list that you can find on our catalog of all of the books that we've been talking about. We'll definitely have that linked on the YouTube description, so you can find those things as well. But yeah, high likelihood that your local library will have access to these guys.
Yeah, I picked some.
They're fairly well known.
Popular ones.
So not too bad.
And don't feel any shame asking your librarian for middle grade. If you're like, I need something to read.
Want something easier.
And I'm okay with reading middle grade.
Whatever. Like, it's great books are great books. Yeah. It doesn't matter who they were originally written for.
Yeah.
If you're comfortable reading them and you're interested in reading them, they're great books. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's bad books too, but you know, like, that's opinion.
Yeah. But if you've read one and you're like, ugh, they were immature. Yes. They're children.
Right.
Adults are also immature.
Yeah, they sure can be. As I'm, like, reading the first Dresden Files book, I'm just like,
yeah,
sir,
yeah,
what are you doing? But I remember reading in high school. I was reading, it was in college. I decided to finally pick up the Series of Unfortunate Events. Mm-hmm. And I was so frustrated just reading that first book because it's like, in this context, this word is used in this sort of way. And it's just, like, spells it out for me. And I was just like, stop talking to me like I'm a child. Wait, hold on.
This book is for children.
This book was written for kids. Okay, I can respect that, like, you're teaching kids higher level vocabulary in such an accessible way. Yeah. Which is grand. But it so annoyed me, and I couldn't read any more of them. I wasn't able to look past it, which is a shame, I know, because those books are phenomenal too. So yeah, I think that's the jam. Go read books.
Read books.
Or if you don't want to read them physically, go listen to books.
Go listen to books.
Or go and watch movies.
Want to watch movies
that are based on books, which we have more of. And also a video from last week where we talked about these a lot. But we forgot about these two. So, hey, got them in there. Nailed it. All right.
All right.
I think we're done.
Everyone,
I need
a snack.
Have a great week. We'll see you next time. Bye.